Hello viewers! So, as most of you would have seen in episode 15, which hinted that Karan has a deeper ideology in him. You know, he's not just some ordinary dictator, he's a social Darwinist. I wanted to explain it a bit more, delve a bit deeper into it. And also in the same episode you saw representatives of the country of Forinthry, which has a Soviet Union-esque flag with a Bandosian symbol. And I wanted to explain more about this country too, which had previously been mentioned to you several times in Season 1 and in early Season 2, but which you haven't been told what it truly was. Both of these will be central to events that will unfold later in Season 2. So, let me start with National Zamorakianism, the ideology of Nigel Karan and Draenoria.
We will no longer accept policies that reward weakness and criminalize success where others have failed!
I'll summarize it in 5 main points. First, everything is genetic. From your political opinions to your actions or whether or not you survive a crime. This, in a Karanist mind, means that for every action you do, your every blood relative should be held responsible for it. Hence, the Draenorian law punishes all generations, not the mere 3 generations practiced in North Korea, all generations of family for the act of just one of its members. Number 2, prosperity comes not from helping the weak, but from eliminating them. The weak, under Karanist definition, encompasses the politically weak, that is dissidents, the economically weak, that is the working poor, the unemployed, beggars, the physically weak, is like victims of crimes, and the racially weak, that is armadillos, Asgardians, anyone lower than Draenorians, which is the master race. So under Karan's policies, the crime is to be the victim of murder, sexual assault, robbery, etc., not the perpetrator. Because in a Karanist mind, the perpetrator makes the nation great, because perpetration of crime, they see that as strength and success, while the victim just demands other people waste their tax money protecting them. So Karanism also calls for a deliberately regressive income tax. It starts at 90% for the poorest to 0% for the richest. Reward strength instead of weakness. Reward success. Not the old system which punishes success and rewards weakness and thus perpetuates it. So number 3, the only way to prevent killing is to kill. Hence, the Draenorian state mandates execution as punishment for every quote-unquote crime, from littering to being a rape victim, and from using marijuana to protesting the state. Number 4 is the soldier state. In fact, this is the name of Karan's manifesto. Everyone is a soldier of the state, in the sense that they fight either militarily or non-militarily for the security and the survival of the Draenorian nation and government. And number 5 is dictatorship of the strongest. That is, the judgment of the strongest and fittest man. In their eyes, Nigel Karan always supersedes that of anyone below him. Doesn't matter what facts, evidence, or anything that you can bring up to contradict, his judgment is dictatorial and always supersedes yours. So in the end, the Karanist world is total survival of the fittest to the utmost extreme, which the Karanist believes to be the natural order of things, the way things should have been. The victims of every crime are punished by execution, and so are their every family member, which cleanses the world of bad genes. Since the genes that cause weakness are wiped out, the world becomes stronger as a result. So let me move on now to civil Bandosianism. This is the ideology of the aforementioned Forinthry, also known as the Union of Bandosian States. To a civil Bandosian, the strong are always superior to the weak, just like to a national Zamorakian, aka Karanist. However, in civil Bandosianism, the strong may use their shield to protect those below them. This is something that does not happen, it cannot happen in national Zamorakianism, because to Karan, the weak only exists to suit the strong as slaves. If they cannot fulfill this sacred task, they only need to be erased from the planet. Another difference is that in civil Bandosianism, it calls for abolishing inheritance and other unearned wealth that makes people appear stronger, that is more economically successful than they actually are. What happens is when you die, it just goes to the state, and that allows them to reduce taxes. Civil Bandosianism also calls for dictatorship of the strongest, but it's a bit more specific. It advocates this ideology in each field. That is, the judgment of the strongest man in each field supersedes those below him in that field. So like, say, finance would be led by perhaps the most distinguished economist, or the most experienced economist, or the biggest business person. The military would obviously be led by the person with the highest rank, or etc. And military is the strongest and most noble field of all. So the dictator of the military is the dictator of the nation. Thank you all for watching. I hope that cleared out some of the unclear points in my show, and I know there's many unclear points, many things I forgot to explain in the past. And yeah, signing out.
You all have seen it! The victims of every so-called crime who demand your tax money to protect them from their own unfitness! And to jail the strong men who could advance the country to greatness if they were free, while the weak just detract from the nation around them! The poor who insist the country exists to suit them, directly contrary to Mother Nature's ironclad law, survival of the fittest!